Happy Friday, Falcons, you made it. And I saw so many amazing things happening across our school this week. I can't wait to share more with you. With that, let's get into another blast. All right, first, I want to thank you all for the work that you're doing with our students to build our Falcon Creed commitments together. I loved coming into your advisory classes and seeing our kids talking and having those discussions about how do we want others to treat us when we have broken one of these commitments, or how do we plan to treat others to truly support one another. I got a shot of Miss Davis's class. They were using the circle method to discuss this. I saw that circle method being used in many classes, and in some cases, the teacher was even sitting right with the circle. It was pretty powerful to hear some of those discussions. Thank you for engaging in those important discussions, and know that even when we're giving directives during lunch in the hallway, we're using the language that the students created from those commitments and within our Falcon Creed. And so continue to use that language. Remember, what we do together is what sticks within our school and what will be exhibited. So I really appreciate your efforts there and all of the hard work and diligence that you have been exhibiting and using that language with our students. Thank you. Now, let's get into our learning focus. So I've got a couple shots there for you, and it's like a start shot and a finish shot. But what all came in between, I want you to hear from the educator herself, and that is Miss Becky Veneman. So let's take a look at how she used gallery walks within her class to produce some solid writing this week. Becky, you used chat stations in your classroom this week. Talk to me just a little bit about how you used chat stations and what the end result of that product was.
Okay. Well, we have some questions for our anticipation guide before we start reading The Giver about things like related to freedom, choice, things like that. I feel like when I first started teaching this book, we had those on a paper and the kids just checked off. They didn't really do anything with it. Then we had moved, last couple of years, we did those questions in a Pear Deck. So they got to interact a little bit more, but it still was just in a Pear Deck. So this year I took what was on the Pear Deck and I just made it printable. I took each question and printed it, and I had a spectrum for agree or disagree, or they could be in the middle.
Excellent.
I'd rather have the right choice made for me than the freedom to make a wrong choice. Sometimes it's good to lie. It'd be better if never experience difficult challenges, questions like that.
So had they started reading the book yet?
No, they had not. This was before the book.
So common themes throughout the book that they're being exposed to prior to reading.
Yes.
Awesome.
So I had 7 of these questions and I taped them up in my room, and I started using like common locations for when I'm posting these. So they kind of already have seen this a couple times, where in the room to go to look for the things.
Awesome.
So I told them to just get up and go around, hit all 7 posters, and just put a dot or a check mark wherever they felt like they needed to be.
Okay.
They didn't have to discuss it at that moment. They would have time to do that, even though I heard a lot of kids that really wanted to start talking about it while they were there.
Yeah, they're interesting prompts.
Right. And so I said, well, just hold on to your discussion just for a second, just because we have to get everyone, you have to get all 7 before we discuss. We can't take forever on this. So then they retook their seats, and then I numbered them off 1 through 7.
Okay.
And that put 2 to 3 kids at each poster. And they had to go back and every person share why they said that. And I modeled for them before we started. A conversation this is not what it is. I put agree. I put disagree. We're finished. No, this is what it actually looks like.
Okay.
I disagree because I feel like this.
Okay.
And then the other person, I don't know. I put disagree because I kind of feel like this. It's an actual conversation for about a minute or so. So they numbered off and went to a poster. talked with that group, and the shortest person went first.
Okay.
And then they rotated 2 stations and then did it again. The other person talked first, or colorful shirt if they had more than 2 people. Then for their third discussion prompt, they picked which poster they wanted to go to. So some of them had really big clusters around them. So that discussion took a little longer. And then I said, when everyone in your group has spoken, go back to your seats.
Okay.
Then they found, they opened up Canvas and they had an assignment with these 7 prompts on them, and they got to pick which one they wanted. And they did a quick write for 5 minutes. And they were just instructed, pick the one that you can talk about, that you feel the strongest about, that you can talk on for 5 minutes. If you can't write on it for 5 minutes, you picked the wrong one. Pick a different one. So, and they wrote. I heard them all typing away for 5 minutes. And when the timer went off, I had to say, okay, finish your last sentence, because everyone was still in that.
They were completely engaged in the writing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And so, I mean, you scaffolded it really well. And it sounds like you did a great job of modeling what the discussions should look like. You also did a really great job of ensuring that kids had reflection time before they were expected to speak. Yeah. And you gave kids opportunities to really learn how, like, to engage in that conversation by directing, like, okay, the person who's tallest starts first, the person who's wearing this color shirt starts first.
Right.
I think all of those things really did help students to be really engaged, besides the fact that you had some awesome prompts.
Thanks.
Great job. Thank you so much. What a great way to get kids to start experiencing what they might know or feel about a book before they've even read it.
Right. And it's not hard to put together. This is kind of new for me. Like, I'm trying a lot of these things and it's new. It's not actually hard to put these things together. It took me maybe 5 minutes to make this. And then I just taped it up around the room as they were doing a different task. So it didn't take a lot of setup. I had a different set for each class period so that they all had a fresh slate. They weren't influenced by what the previous class had said.
Great idea.
And then, I mean, it didn't take that long. And then time in class, probably 5-6 minutes to do all of the voting and discussion. And then they wrote for 5 minutes. So it wasn't a large time chunk either, but it paid off. So
awesome. I love it. Well, thank you.
You're
Thanks
welcome.
for being on here to share.
No problem.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you. Becky did such an amazing job. Becky, kudos to you for, trying something new, switching that lesson up, as you said that you have, which has been through a great deal of reflection, some of our staff learning, and for sharing it with your PLT, because I know some of your PLT members also used this same structure within their classrooms. Amazing job. So one of the things that I really loved about this lesson is that it seamlessly brought out the aspects of cooperative learning that we are seeking to have happen in every single cooperative learning activity: that positive interdependence, individual accountability, equal participation, and simultaneous interaction. Now, I'm going to share with you guys that each week we're going to be calling in a new member of our staff to share about either a student-focused learning activity that they're implementing in their class, or an assessment capable learning activity that they are implementing within their classroom. We've got somebody lined up already for next week, Ms. Shimkus. And so we are excited to continue to share the amazing practices that we use with one another. I want to briefly highlight some more cooperative learning practices that I saw happening throughout our building this week. Honestly, there were so many, guys, that it is hard to narrow them down for this video. But just briefly, our HPE team did a fantastic job of implementing cooperative learning into their classes this week with critical thinking skills. 7th grade staff used an activity called Here to There, and our 8th grade staff utilized Crossing the River. In both of those activities, students were working on teams, and they had a set amount of materials that they had to use to then find a way how to use those materials to get their entire team across the gym floor to the other side. They could not touch the gym floor or they had to return. Both of these groups of teachers also did an amazing job of helping their students to reflect after the activity. So students had an opportunity to really discuss and think about what they would do differently, what was effective on their team, how might they have improved their communication. This was just phenomenal to see in action, and it also helped our PE teachers to really watch the dynamics of each team and look at who's emerging as a leader, who is showing some true integrity. It was just phenomenal to watch. You can follow up with any of our PE teachers if you'd like to learn more. And then I want to share just a couple more shots here. We had a shot from Miss Ingles' class where she held a classroom Olympics where the kids absolutely loved these activities, but every activity related to the ELA skills that they would be utilizing in this next upcoming unit. And then a shot from Miss Murray's class and a math classroom where they were at vertical whiteboards, and the students were doing, once again, just an awesome job of sorting various graphs and having to categorize those graphs as they saw fit. And then they were explaining to the rest of the class why they categorized the graphs in the way that they did. So they were working in partners to do this work. And I really loved hearing the reflective questions that Miss Murray asked her class as well, when she would ask things like, were there any graphs that you thought could fit into two categories? Talk to your partner and think through together why you chose to place that graph in one category as opposed to the other. And then they shared with one another within the class. It was just a really cool classroom community and learning experience. So pop in and ask either of them if you'd like to know more about those activities. Last but not least, this I saw in Miss Shimkis's class today, and it is using chat stations in a little bit of a different way in her classroom. I'm not going to tell you a whole lot about it because she's going to present it for you on this very video next week. Last but not least, I want to highlight some ways in which our staff is making a difference. Did you know that our counselors are planning to meet with 100% of our students over the next month or so in what we are calling minute meetings? This is a part of our school improvement plan. It's a way in which our counselors are working to learn the strengths and ways in which they can support every single one of our students. Kudos to our counseling team for really stepping up and putting this into action. I have no doubt that this is going to reap benefits for our students. And then I got a shot there below. Miss Engel decided to put a twist on the 90-second expert. She made her students 90-second experts, but they are all having individual meetings with her over the next few weeks. And so she is learning about the strengths of her students and asking them follow-up questions to then, of course, be able to build relationships and utilize those things that our kids love within her lessons. What a great idea. All right, Falcons, as I said, there was a lot. I mean, we are walking throughout this building and absolutely loving what we are seeing in your classes. The amount of student-focused instructional practices that we are seeing is through the roof. And so I want to commend you and congratulate you on the work that you're doing. As we know, this work pays off and it has huge gains for our kids and their learning and their confidence. So thank you. I hope you rest, relax, and enjoy your well-deserved weekend. We will see you here on Tuesday, Falcons. Take care.